This is the brand new Shake Me 1932 Ford 5-window coupe being driven by Tom Meents out of Paxton, Illinois, a supercharged Chevrolet Big Block. This thing has been incredible in preliminary action, Shelley.
Well, you know, he's only 21 years old, and his sponsor, Sam Beck, has a lot of confidence in him.
That's for sure. They put together one of the strongest machines they could imagine. Like I said, a supercharged 466 cubic inch Chevy Big Block on alcohol, 2-speed power glide transmission. He will shift it at about the 70-foot marker on this 80-foot track. 1,500 horsepower of Chevrolet. Absolutely incredible! Upside down and into the safety net. Absolutely incredible ride for Tom Meents. You can see Jim Harris, the event director, right there, as well as the paramedics and the safety crew. Meents has motioned to him that he is okay. He says, just roll this thing back over.
He had his thumb up and out of the car.
He's absolutely... incredible run.
He sure gave the crowd a scare, but the minute he got up, he got quite an ovation.
Listen to this. On the run, completely sideways at the finish line, airborne and on his head. 2.20 seconds.
He's up and walking. Look at him.
Absolutely unbelievable. That's only 17/100ths of a second slower than Tom Martin's quickest run ever. Look at that young man. Look at that young man. 21 years old on a 2.20-second run. Absolutely incredible. And here's the slow motion replay. The machine at half track just blasting across the mud. Look at the tires just skimming the surface exactly the way it should be done. Now it starts to bounce around and hook to the left. You can see him working the steering wheel in the cockpit, trying to keep it straight. He stays full throttle through the shutdown area. The kill switch cuts the motor. But look at this thing. The rear end literally 7 feet in the air, and here's the landing that put him on his head. Man, what a ride for this rookie.
This is something he'll have to call home and tell him about.
I'll tell you, though, is that a classic example of the stringent safety requirements these machines have to have, or what? I'll tell you, the U.S. Auto Association safety regulations are what allowed Tom Meents to walk away from that crash.
Well, I'll tell you, Jim Harris down there on the floor, our technical director, he supervises all the safety activities here, and that little extra time sure pays off.
There's no question about it. We will be back with more championship action from the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania Civic Arena.
Well, despite it all, he sure kept his front tires up, and I guess that's what got him through.
That's very true. As long as the front end is up, he should be able to get across the finish line in fine fashion, just not as quick as we've seen in past events. But see, that will change the strategy these drivers are using. Now it's a driver's game. It's not just a brute horsepower battle. Now it's going to take some brains to get through this pit. And speaking of brains to get through the pit, here is a young man who has put together literally one of the most astounding vehicles we have ever witnessed. If you were with us recently, you saw the incredible debut of the 1932 Ford Coupe called Shake Me. This is Tom Meents from Paxton, Illinois. Earlier, we had a chance to talk to one of the newest driving sensations in U.S. Auto Association mud racing. This is Tom Meents, who took one of the wildest rides we ever saw at Pittsburgh Civic Arena. And Tom, that was a rough way to get your inauguration into this business.
Yeah, it was a pretty wild way to get into it.
You seem to be completely aware of everything that was happening. You're out of the car and waving to the crowd almost immediately. But what were your thoughts when that thing was 6 feet in the air?
Well, it happened so fast, I didn't really have time to react, so it just, I knew I was safe inside the car, so there wasn't nothing to worry about.
You had that much faith in the chassis?
Yeah, it's awful strong and a lot of protection built into the machine, so there's no problem at all.
Well, with that hard of a roll, in fact, the car is out very shortly after that Pittsburgh crash, and you really didn't have to do anything else to the chassis, did you?
No, not really. We just had a lot of work to do to the motor and other things to get the car ready to go this week.
And it will be a convertible this time out tonight.
Yes, it will.
After the roof came off at Pittsburgh, it was pretty wild. With your particular machine last night during the preliminaries, recording the quickest elapsed time ever in this particular length pit, 65 feet. You've got to be happy with the way the car's running, though, even though this is only your 4th event.
Yeah, we're real happy with the car. We got it hooking a little bit better this week, and that'll make us happy.
It's got to be an incredible ride, 65 feet of mud in 1.68 seconds.
Yeah, it'll definitely set you back.
2,000 horsepower, ready to give it everything. For Tom Meents, the rookie racer, only his 5th event, yet that incredible 1.68 second elapsed time during preliminaries. No roof after the crash at Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, yet the machine seems to be running better than ever. A new supercharger of the car for this event. The mark to beat, 2.81 seconds with Byron Tinkey's brand new 1932 Ford Coupe leading the way. It seems to be the body style to go. The Mud Patrol team ran the first Ford Coupe. Byron Tinkey currently leads it with one of those fiberglass replicas. And a tremendous pass, and that will easily be good enough for the #1 spot. Shelley, that's what Tom Meents wanted to do.
Boy, it looked like he was off to a little bit of a rough start there, too, but he held on to it right across the finish line and then some.
In a situation where I thought too much horsepower was going to be a problem, Meents did spin the tires initially, but man, it hooked up and flew across the finish line. Unbelievable. Look at the steam. Yeah, obviously the engine was heating up pretty seriously. Here is the slow motion replay. Watch the launch. Front end up. The elapsed time, 2.39 seconds. Good for the #1 spot. And indeed, Tom Meents, pegged against the back of the seat, rides it out, airborne across the finish line. #1 for the rookie racer from Paxton, Illinois. We're back, ladies and gentlemen, to Riverfront Coliseum in Cincinnati, Ohio, as the U.S. Hobbit Association Monster Truck and Mud Bog Spectacular continues, all brought to you by the Heartbeat of America, today's Chevrolet trucks. And on the starting line, we get ready to go into the unbelievable super modified category of the U.S. Hobbit Association's mud racing program. And the first man on the line, Shelley Herman, is without a doubt the young wolf of this battle.
Tom Meents, and he's certainly one of the big competitors in this Tournament of Champions tonight.
He's been battling the defending world champion in this class, Tom Martin, with a nearly identical machine. And earlier we had a chance to talk to Tom about what it's like to battle the world champion in his first year of competition. Back in the fall of 1988, the name Shake Me on the side of this 1932 Ford was a brand new one in U.S. Hobbit Association Super Modified Mud Racing. This young man, Tom Meents, was virtually a rookie in this incredible 2,000 horsepower machine. And if you remember, back then, this machine instantly made a name for itself, as well as this driver's nickname, Hollywood, when it went upside down at the U.S. Hobbit Association National Championship event at Pittsburgh. And Tom, I know that incident has to still be going through your head, but there's no question that the U.S. Hobbit Association safety rules made this machine come back the following week.
Yes, it certainly did. Every time I get in the machine, I think of the wreck, but I always know that they have such good safety rules, and there's really no problem with safety.
So you were able to step right out of the car at that event, wave to the crowd. You really weren't even touched.
No, I didn't even have any bruises, bumps, or sores the next day.
Well, since then, this machine has gone on now into a battle for the World Championship points chase with Tom Martin, the current champion, and it's become pretty heated, hasn't it?
Yeah, there's quite a few really fast cars here tonight, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, there's no question this will be a killer event. The question, I guess, most fans would want to know is, who do you shoot for when you come to these things? Is there any one guy that you'd really like to knock down?
Yeah, Tom Martin.
I guess along with everybody else, you want the world champ. The question is this machine going to continue getting more and more powerful? You're already running elapsed times now that are near records.
Yeah, we every week we work on speed. The more speed we can get out of it, the better we'll do.
This incredible 1,500 horsepower supercharged fuel-injected Chevrolet is one of the most powerful in the business. And Shelley Herman, with Tom Meents being the first man on what is going to be an incredibly fast pit as far as the drivers are concerned, we may see a 1 second elapsed time for the 90-foot distance that we're dealing with. There's never been a driver under 2 seconds flat in 90 feet of the U.S. Hobbit Association mud.
Well, he's surely going to give the other guys a real race for their money. He's going to set a precedent here.
Unbelievable run, but something happened. A beautiful starting line launch, and that is turbo engine damage. On the replay, that launch was absolutely astounding. You couldn't ask for a more perfect run, but right there, the splash you see is because the motor went away and the machine lost its forward momentum. The front end actually came down into the mud, and there you see it's flat out of power. You can see the cylinders missing. That was something serious in the engine. What a disappointment, Shelley. The distance, 85 feet 6 inches, is not going to do him any good in this battle. Firing up and positioning himself on the starting line from Louisville, Kentucky is...
The next machine sitting already on the starting line, though, should be one that could take the lead with a safe run. From Northern Illinois, the incredible 1932 Ford Model A called Shake Me. This is Tom Meents. A beautiful starting line launch. He shuts it down just before the finish line and stops within 5 feet of the disqualification marker. You can see Meents is thrilled with that run. Even after a very, very conservative starting line launch, the front end came up beautifully for one of the quickest runs this track probably will see. You'll notice the machine really isn't that dirty, and that's the objective in super modified class racing. The vehicle should skim across the surface of the mud and should end up really not that covered with mud at the end. On the launch, you can see Meents used a conservative approach. The front end gets buried, but then 1,500 horsepower picks the nose up. He stays in the throttle almost to the finish line, and at 2.44 seconds, He stops just in time in front of those disqualification markers. Mintz's incredible supercharged Chevy-powered four-body mud racer takes the #1 spot. And that is going to be a tough mark to beat, considering the fact that, as you can see with Tom driving off, this track is already getting very slippery and very sloppy. Shelley Herman is in the pits with the man who just beat the defending world champion and picked up some really valuable points in the world championship battle.
With me now is Tom Meents, who won this evening's competition with a time of 2.44 seconds driving Shake Me. You had quite a wild ride tonight, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I was just fortunate enough. I made a decent pass and got stopped in time.
Yeah, I understand stopping was pretty critical tonight. Disqualified quite a few of the drivers.
Yeah, the pit was awful slick at the end. Making a good run was one thing, but getting stopped in time was another.
You have a couple sponsors you wanted to thank, didn't you?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Sam Beck, 4x4 Performance, and Rand Tool, and Jennings Auto Body for painting the car.
And we'd like to thank you for a real good show tonight.
All right, thanks a lot.
I'll tell you what, though. Coming up next is a machine that everybody has been waiting to see. World champion Tom Martin is still leading this field at 2 seconds flat, but the man in the far lane is Tom Martin's biggest challenge. Here's Greg Alvers in the Bog Bandit 2 Jeep. This machine, of all things, powered by a 440 cubic inch Chrysler engine on nitrous oxide, but in the right-hand lane, Tom Meents and the supercharged, fuel-injected Chevy-powered 32 Ford called Shake Me. Meents leaves the starting line on a tremendous pass. Excellent, excellent run for both vehicles, Shelley.
You know, I blinked and I just about missed it. It didn't look like Tom Meents' tires were ever on the mud.
That's the idea. The super modifieds get up on top of the mud and skip across the surface. Let's look at the launch. Well, interestingly, it was actually a little sideways on the launch. Then it gets right back up into the mud. Like you pointed out, Shelley, those ruts are getting real serious. The elapsed time, 2.06 seconds. The quickest Meents has ever gone on this distance pit, but it won't be good enough for #1, missing by 0.06 of a second.
Now, the quickest and fastest indoor motorsports machines in the world get ready to do battle. This is the super modified mud racing category and the 1989 season championship battle. This is the last event in which points will be awarded towards the season world championship on the U.S. Hot Rod Association Trail. And the man who has drawn the first starting position for this 36-inch deep, 80-foot-long pit is one of the newest superstars of 1989. This is the young man who started things off so wildly in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania at the beginning of the year, and now has turned into one of the strongest drivers of the season. The fuel-injected, supercharged, methanol-burning, Chevrolet-powered 1932 Ford Coupe of Paxton, Illinois' Tom Meents and the machine called Shake Me, Shelley.
You couldn't have found a better driver to start things off this evening. If anybody can set the pace for this evening, it's Tom, and he's guaranteed to give a wild ride, provided he stays us all four wheels on the ground.
That's true, and that's something that occasionally Tom has trouble doing with this 1,500 horsepower machine. It's a very good point, though, with the way the mud is, a very, very sticky, very thick mud consistency at this particular course. This machine could set an elapsed time pace that could be impossible to beat tonight. Remember, on the 80-foot pit distance, the U.S. Hot Rod Association's national elapsed time record is 1.95 seconds, and we've only ever had 4 drivers under the 2-second flat mark. But this youngster, 21 years old, who has done so well in his rookie year, this incredibly powerful piece of equipment takes the green flag to start things off. Tremendous launch, tremendous run, and what a ride to kick things off, powering himself out of that pit. It looked like a picture-perfect pass, Shelley. Look at this thing blasting across the finish line, and it looks like Tom may have gotten out of the throttle. You can't even see it there. Just a shower of mud and water. And indeed, Randy Spraggins, the man who built this track, put a little extra slowing area into the shutdown. The elapsed time, 2.31 seconds. And Shelley, that's not as good as we might have anticipated.
The top driver to the line. This is Tom Meents and Shake Me out of Paxton, Illinois. Oh, slides it out the end. Got that front end up in the air. We'll check his time. He had the light front end just like you're supposed to. His time, 2.13 seconds. Puts him in second place. Tom Meents and Shake Me. Time to go to the final round of 3. The 3 fastest from the first round now come back in a final round shootout, starting with the 3rd fastest qualifier. That means that Tom Meents and Shake Me out of Paxton, Illinois will be the first to the line and try to set the time to beat. This has been a recreation of the 1991 racing season in the USA Super Series of Mud Racing. Seems every stop we make, these 3 drivers are involved in the final round shootout. Tom Meents and Shake Me. Mike Erdley in the Mud Shark out of Walkerton, Indiana, and the world champion Ron Pence and Tater. Whoa, Tom! Whoa! Whoa! Yeah! Taking it all the way to the limit. Tom Meents and Shake Me! Time coming up. Tom Meents runs through in 2.17 seconds.
Tom Meents will be the first one up in a vehicle that he co-owns with his dad and also Ron Olson. It's a 32 Ford Roadster with the big Keith Black power plant.
You know, Gary, the scenario here is kind of strange. All the drivers hate to see this guy going first in the class because the track is running.
Great run.
Whoa, what a
I
shot.
guess it's a great one. A new track record, 2.65.
Almost a new world record. Missed a world record by only 1/100th of a second. Gary Lee, that could be the kiss of death for the rest of this field.
Well, he got a great hole shot, takes it out the end, 2.65. Let's watch again as Tom Meents comes right at you out of Paxton, Illinois. And he has something for them all to shoot for. They're going to knock off the very best here this evening if they hope to win in Franklin, Georgia. Well, Army Tom has to be ecstatic.
Well, it all starts off with an awesome 265 blast. That had to feel good.
Oh, man, the car just went straight as an arrow. Felt good, power all the way, front wheels up. I just can't say enough to thank my dad and Ron Olson for giving me the power and the help as it took.
Get back here and have a good seat because everybody's coming after you now.
Yeah.
Track record at 2.65, but coming up another baddest at the bat is Tom Meents, and he's with Army Armstrong.
Well, Tom, you're sitting on top of this thing, a 260-something run. You were first out of the box. What's happening here? Is this a classic case of the track going away?
Yeah, I think that has a lot to do with it. The track was real good when I ran, but I had a chance, and I made it down on a good shot on the chance I had.
Okay, let's kick back and see if anybody's got that good run left in them tonight.
Here is your winner, Tom Meents with Army Armstrong.
Gary, it's been a tough night of racing tonight, but the guy that ran first had to sit and watch them all night long coming after you. Nobody even got close. Congratulations to you, Tom.
Well, thanks a lot, Army, but it sure was a long time sitting there waiting for them to see if their time was going to hold up.
What goes through your mind at a time like that? Because everybody's watched your run. They know what they've got to do. Who's the pressure on, you or them?
Well, I guess the pressure really would be on them because they've got to do it, and I already did do it.
Well, Gary, that kind of wraps it up from Georgia. These guys are looking tough in this red Georgia clay.
To put the exciter back together, and we have Tom Meents coming up next. And this is the Shake Me, a 32 Ford Roadster with the big Keith Black engine.
Gary, you just said that the fellow was leaving to put the exciter back together. If you follow this sport, the next two vehicles you're going to see, they are the exciters. Watch this kid. It's only rock and roll.
Oh, he almost took a nosedive there, but look at that run, 2.935. A good ride for Tom Meents out of Paxton, Illinois.
Well, Gary, the kid is a natural. The word we get, he just went to the number 2 spot.
Indeed he did.
Well, Sean, it still can be done. The bite's out there with a 293 run. Tom, you definitely got to attack this track, don't you?
Yeah, you got to go hammer down. We got these many peoples at a national run. You can't let anything left to waste.
So when you left the line a little bit out of shape, there's no doubt in your mind you were still going to drive it out the back door.
No, hammer down all the way, Army.
Our final competitor, well, we're coming up to our final competitor here at Franklin, Georgia, Tom Meents. And he drives the Shake Me, a 32 Ford Roadster with the big Keith Black engine.
Gary, this kid's the last of class. Even Glenn Sebo, the class leader's walking over to watch him on this one. They could have saved the best for last. 284 is a quick time. Meeks sitting on the line.
Oh, look at him skip across the mud. An excellent ride. He does it. He does it.
Left side, that's 276.
Can you believe that, Army Armstrong? Tom Meents out of Paxton, Illinois, in that 32 Ford Roadster, the last competitor, and he takes the championship here at Deer Creek Motorsports Park.
Went over to the left side of the track, over to no man's land. Nobody's been there all day long, and it flat worked for him. A 276. That is unbelievable, Gary Lee.
Well, Glenn Seabold had the lead, had to watch the rest of the field, and the last driver to go, Tom Meents, takes the victory.
Tom, it was dramatic. Last shot, bumpy ride. It looked like a rocket ship, but it worked for you.
Yeah, the motor really come on strong, and I have to just thank my crew a lot for that. They really helped me out a lot.
Who picks what lane you're going to run in out there? Everybody's talking about bad track, bad track, bad track. It looked like a good run for you.
Well, I don't hardly watch the lane all day until I pull up there, because until then it doesn't really matter.
Well, when the dust settled in Georgia, Shake Me was the man on top.
To stay cool the best way they can here in western Georgia. Here's a good look at Shake Me, Tom Meents.
Gary, every sport has a driver like this. He's an attack driver. He will literally pull the trigger on you. He will just make you hold your breath. Whoa, he's in trouble now, Gary.
Well, he went right across the timing device. He was baling hay out there. He thought that thing was going to go on over. He was going for the cellar. You see him duck down in the cockpit. Obviously disqualified because he's out of bounds.
Boy, that's the way it was. First 50 feet, it looks good, and all of a sudden it hooks on him. Now he's trying to pull it back. Now he's at the mercy of Mother Nature. He's into that wall. He's got to follow it.
Well, you talked about the front end being light on these vehicles. He really does not have the proper control because the front end is so light.
Yeah, once it was up in the air, it's like steering the front wheels when you're doing a wheelie. It's just to no avail. And he was so light, and those big old back wheels kept pushing him.
Well, as we realign the timing device, let's talk to Tom.
First of all, Tom, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
What caused the accident?
I think the back tire grabbed a rut about halfway through and started pitching the car to the side.
What goes through your mind at a time like that? Do you have time to think about it, or are you just too busy reacting?
You just work on reactions alone.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
And then when it's all over and the dust clears, you realize your heart beats about 1,000 miles an hour. Well, coming up next is...
Here is the driver that goes to win. He drives to win out of Paxton, Illinois. Tom Meents and Shake Me. It's a 32 Ford Roadster is what it is, with 509 cubic inches of Keith's Black engine. The Hemi engine. Here's a man that will stay in the motor all the way. Tom Meents and Shake Me. I told you the boy would stay in it all the way, and that's just exactly what he done. With a time of 2.68, he just broke the national record in a 200-foot bed of mud with a 2.68. Takes the lead in the class, breaks the national record, goes back to the pit area as one happy man. Tom Meents and the Shake Me machine, 509 cubic inches, just takes the lead with a national record. An exciting class of racing right here this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, in the cut tire class. And how exciting was it? A national record of 2.65 set down by the Shake Me, Tom Meents. Tom, you drawed a number in the middle of the pack. Was it just conditions just right, or was you just dialed in?
Oh, the car just seemed to pull real good. It's a brand new transmission in there, and it really held good, and it just went straight as an arrow. That's all it took.
When did you know that you had broke the national record? Did you feel it as you went through that 200 foot? You knew you had a good run, but how good did you think it was?
I knew it was a good run, Dave, but I didn't think it was quite that quick till I seen the crew jumping up and down, and I knew it was.
Shake Me, Tom Meents out of Paxton, Illinois, is the new winner here today and the new national record holder.
That's got to be spooky running into that. Now, we were talking about the luck of the draw. Two of the baddest guys in the sport, strongest runners, quickest cars in the sport. Right now, we're going to be looking at them.
Well, there's Ron Pence and Tater. He lines up alongside Tom Meents and Shake Me. This could be the battle for the championship right here. The time to beat 3:05.
This is the one everybody walks away from the car over to the fence. Pence leads first. Meeks goes after him. Pence on the other end. Meeks. Now they're trying to shut him down.
Well, they're almost together. They almost got the barricades down there, those Hydra barricades. Those units are filled with water. That's one way to wash the mud off the car, though. You smack one of those things.
Yeah, but your philosophy on that's a whole lot different than mine. Wow, look at that, 3:02. Hey, we got a war going here today. Pence reaches over, waves to Meeks, and they both going to have a big smile on their face. That is what professional mud racing is all about.
Let's look once again. Far lane, Ron Pence and Tater. He clips the light at 3.02.
But right behind him, looky here, a little red vehicle coming. Now Pence is cranking it to the right. Now Meeks is trying to work in his area. At this time, they both hit the throttle. Watch this, trying to stay away from each other.
Look at this. Look at Tom Meents.
Oh, right.
2.92. That driving is worthy of the Joey Chitwood Thrill Show. One more look at the two fastest competitors so far this afternoon. That's what they call a bootleg spin.
That's right.
A bootleg spin. Army Armstrong, a better shootout you will not find. Tom Meents at 2.92. Ron Pence, 3.02.
And a look at, there's the big smile on Tom's face. Let's talk to Ron Pence.
Tom, a 2.9, and they threw in a dance on the end of the run at the other end. What happened down there?
Well, I don't know. I know everything looked good, and once I come out the end there, I seen a whole lot of Pence's car there, and I didn't know how I kept from hitting him. I gassed it hard, and somehow he stayed away from me.
I'll tell you what, you set the mark for everybody to shoot at. Good luck. See if you can hang on to it.
We're going to need it.
Well, Gary, many times we've done mud racing. We've stood at the end of the track at the end of the day with this young man. Tom Meeks, you seem to have a handle on this sport.
I don't know. We just got a good combination going right now. Thanks to my dad and the rest of the crew. They really helped out a lot.
Yeah, they helped out a lot. But, son, you are a driver. I'll give you that.
Well, somebody has to put the pedal down. That's the easiest part of the whole deal.
Yeah, but it's better than a blue ticket ride. Congratulations. It's a good show.
Thank you.
You might have a difficult time convincing some folks up in the grandstand about how easy it is to drive one of those things. As we look at this matchup again, by luck of the draw, it was Ron Pence and Tom Meents together. And boy, he got out of shape right there. He may have been even faster, but he got out of shape about mid-range. They both do the bootleg spin at the end, come to a stop, and Tom Meents wins it here at the Indiana State Fairgrounds with a clocking of 2.92. So our congratulations to Tom. They've been waiting for this matchup. There is the mud stud. That is Bob Monk out of Merrill, Michigan. And the guy he pulls alongside is one of the kingpins in this sport, and that is Tom Meents right there in Shake Me. He is one of the giants.
The reason Meeks is always such a player, he leans on his equipment so hard. I mean, he shows no mercy. When that light goes green, he goes 101%.
It may take 120% today to beat that. Oh, he has a problem. He leaned on the equipment, all right.
Yeah, but a mud stud had a good run going.
3.58, a 3.58, almost a second slower.
A little bit of a fire.
Yeah, that's an alky fire burning right there. You can see the heat waves. Remember, alcohol burns without the flame. They need to get a fire bottle down there. Now you can see some oil or some wiring or something that is on fire. You can see the flame, but the alcohol does burn without the flame.
Now, this camera crew gave a perfect example right there of showing people how careful you have to be with an alcohol fire.
Well, Tom is okay, but once again, just past the starting line, he bangs a blower. The car erupts in alcohol flames. The fire crew was there to put it out, and again, Tom is okay. Thankfully, he has walked over to our trackside announce position, and he's standing down there with Army now.
One of the major players in the sport, Tom Meents. Thomas, as soon as you hit the throttle, it's just like blowing a candle out.
Yeah, as soon as I went for kill, it just didn't go nowhere, and the whole top of the motor blew off.
Okay, now, you were sitting there for a moment. You knew the vehicle was on fire. The track crew couldn't see it. These alcohol vehicles, when they catch on fire like that, are you okay? I don't see any singe marks or anything.
Yeah, I was fine. I just seen it was still burning from my view, but I don't think anybody else could tell it was burning.
We could once you came out. We're glad you're okay. We'll see you another time.
Thank you.
Still able to smile after...
Gary, if there's such thing as a worst-case scenario in this sport, it would be the last guy of the day in this pit. I'm standing with Tom Meents. That's your scenario, last guy in the pit, but I understand it's going to be a bye run, so do we look for your lineup a little bit crooked and shoot across that track?
Yeah, we'll definitely find the best line through there, and we'll be able to really concentrate and give it our best run.
These East Coast guys are really playing tough up here. You're the traveling pro. To be real honest, they hated to see you get that bye run, and everybody's going to be watching. A lot of pressure seems like is on you. Do you feel that pressure?
Yeah, a little bit. They're all gunning for me. They know I'm one of the big guns. They're out here to knock me off.
I like his confidence, but he's very true, though. He is one of the big guns. Well, a look at our final competitor, Tom Meents, and Shake Me will not be catching a single, however. He'll be paired against David Ray in Midnight Magic, a 24 Ford with a 572 cubic inch Ford power plant.
Well, now somebody in the lineup in front of him had to drop out in order to get him into the run. And I don't think it worries him to run with somebody or by himself. He is so deep in concentration, he's worried about one thing, his lane and a run of about a 276 to get 277, not to be the quickest of the day.
Oh. Now, what do you think, Army? Takes a long time to get her slowed down. Let's wait for the time to come in. No, so close. 288. 2.88, but that means that Big Al hangs on. There's the 316 for David Ray. Let's look one more time.
You wonder what this run would have been like if it had been earlier. Notice all the ruts he's catching, see?
Yeah, Army, he couldn't get on top of the mud. He was bouncing through the mud pit. Consequently, that slowed him down. He finishes second with a 2.88, pulling the helmet off. Let's go talk to him.
Tom, they changed a lot of things around on you. It's supposed to be a by run. You line up in the lane you weren't supposed to be in. Did that change your train of thought at all?
Not too bad. Just got a little squirrely down there near the end there.
Second quick time of the day. You satisfied with that?
Yeah, real satisfied.
But you were making horsepower big on the other end. You knew that, didn't you?
Yeah, it run real good down there near the end.
Well, he says he was satisfied with the run, but the voice indicates to me he's just a tad disappointed. You're enthusiastic, but here's a guy that would like to knock you off that pedestal. Here's Tom Meents in Shake Me. That's the 32 Ford Roadster. He comes from Paxton, Illinois, and this guy has found victory lane so many times in his youthful career. He pulls alongside Joe Dore. Equal Justice, the blue Chevy S10. He is from Mays Landing, New Jersey.
Tom in the Shake Me vehicle has such wheel speed. The tires actually grow. All four of them grow just like a dragster doing a burnout. And he can just make a phenomenal amount of horsepower through the gear ratio. That's the vehicle in the far lane. Like you say, if anybody's going to catch Big Al, it can happen right now. Whoa, look at this.
He may have done it. You may have just witnessed the fast run here this afternoon. Tom Meents and Shake Me. Look at that, 280. That's it. 280. Tom Meents is the quick one.
Left lane, Gary. That lane, when it came around good.
There's Joe's time at 4.14. One more look now coming straight at you. Here is Tom Meents. Oh, he has to hang on. He has to saw on that steering wheel, but Tom Meents, a perennial favorite, perennial champion, is the quick one right now. So let's go down to the pit area and talk to Tom.
Come here a minute, fellas. A 2.802, and you backpedal on it.
Yeah, everything felt real good, and I hit the shift right, but for some reason it hooked to the left down there near the end.
Dad, how do you feel about this thing? You've had to miss a few races this year. You're back in the saddle, back on top of this thing. This kid's, you got to be proud of him.
Yeah, he does a good job of handling. It seems like he got a real cool head. Whatever happens on the track, he takes control of the car. He has got away a few times, and he's had it on the top a few times, but it's not normally his fault.
How often do we see a father and son back for protection when they nail that throttle and it kicks the head back? There's a look at Gene Johnson in the Terminator. He'll be up close to that concrete wall against Tom Meents in Shake Me. This should be a good shootout right here.
This is the same thing that people see when they go and sit at Cape Kennedy or Cape Canaveral, Florida. They're going to see two rockets right now.
This is the launch pad.
This is it, babe. Grab your honey and hold on tight. The bad boys are getting out tonight, and it's time.
They're shooting for a 311, just turned in by Ron Pence and Tater. Tom Meents with a good run. Let's check the time. First the time for Johnson. And now the time for Meents, not quite good enough, 3:18. So that'll be third on the leaderboard. Let's take a look again.
Watch the bounce that takes place. He gets a lot of chassis load, unload, load, unload right there. See, Gary, that's hurting.
So Tom Meents goes third on the leaderboard, and he's trackside with Army.
Gary, what we're looking at right now is the Shake Me bottom four-link bar on the suspension. Now, the only way you can bend one of these bars is by getting a tremendous amount of bite. And the big story all day long today is everybody saying there's no bite to be had out there. Tell me the story. Horsepower, wheel speed, and you're braking pieces, and nobody else can get power to the stick.
I don't know, Army, just right off the get-go, I think I hooked up pretty hard on that hard starting line that went right to the right, and I backpedaled it and tried to baby it through best I could. But I could tell something wasn't right in the rear end.
Yeah, there's another look at the damaged Ford. A man of few words. He lets the foot do the talking. Here's the marquee matchup of the entire afternoon. Tom Meents in Shake Me, and he pulls alongside Tom Martin and the Super Trooper, the four-time indoor champion. This should be a dance.
If nothing else, they're going for bragging rights. It's going to be a drag race. Who's going to read the tree? Each one is the best in his area. Far lane, the best outdoor racer right now. Near lane, the best indoor racer. What's going to happen 180 feet later? We're going to find out.
Oh, Tom Martin pulls the string. Look at the Super Trooper. There's the time for Tom Meents. That's second fast so far at 2:89. But here's it. Oh, look at that at 2:70. That's a fast time this afternoon for Tom Martin.
Awesome run. Martin was pumped up. Watch him when they leave the start line. Wheels up. Both of them right on the nose. They're trying to power with the rear wheels. That has to be one of the all-time best side-by-side mud races ever in the history of mankind throughout the world. That was neat, Gary Lee.
And look at the mud on the visor. Oh, now he can see something. Wow, looky there.
Yeah, but watch him saw that steering wheel, Gary Lee. He was working.
Two of the biggest stars of this type of motorsport. Let's go down and talk right now to Tom Martin.
In any form of motorsport, when you're hot, you're hot. I'm going to explain what I mean by that. Remember when Elliott was almost unbeatable? He won $1 million a few years ago. Then Dale Earnhardt and his crew, they found the right combination. Everybody said they were unbeatable. They've kind of lost that edge. What we're saying is every form of motorsport has somebody that seems to have stumbled or figured out the right combination. Well, in mud racing, the Shake Me team out of Illinois has come upon that right combination. We're going to try to explain it to you real quick. First of all, it's basics. There's not a lot of toots and whistles here. This vehicle has to weigh 2,350 pounds. It weighs 2,350 pounds. Weighs exactly what it has to. He's come up with the right combination as far as tire, gear ratio, and what have you. The weight is there, but one of the most unique things to me about the Shake Me vehicle is the fact that the engine, a big block Chevrolet engine with a supercharger on top, an injector on top of that, only has 509 cubic inches. In this sport, that's considered a small engine. So with the right engine cubic inches, the horsepower combination, the right gear ratio, and the right tire size, Shake Me has proven to be the man to beat. Back to you, Gary.
Coming up next as the Class 5 competition continues, Gene Johnson in the Terminator alongside a car we saw earlier, Tom Meents in Shake Me. There's one Gene Johnson out of Georgia, the Terminator. Lane to far lane, Tom Meents out of Illinois and Shake Me.
This could be the alley-oop race of the day. You know what that is?
And there it is, looky there, 2.99. Tom Meents and Shake Me has just taken the lead, and there is a 3.56 for Gene Johnson. And we look again, Tom Meents in the right-hand lane, the right side of your screen, lays down that quick one. Just under the 3-second run, and once again, here's Tom with Army.
Well, Tom, a 299 with a little kick on the end. That had to be a thrill out there.
That was great. It left real good, but after that, it got a little squirrely, but it was running strong all the way. I knew it'd be a fairly good time.
Well, Gary, Tom Meents held on from the middle of the field to take a win in this thing. And, Tom, congratulations to you. It didn't come easy, did it?
No, I didn't, Army. Thanks a lot. And I don't know, I had to do a lot of work out there with the steering wheel to keep it in the pit, but it worked out pretty good.
Well, right now we got a couple of your fans coming over to congratulate you. Once again, congratulations.
Once the girls show up, the interview is over. Let's take another look at the victorious run.
Well, he did lay down a shot. Cut tire class, he got those tall tires up, used the RPM, but look at the steering wheel. It's got to be a thrill for under 3 seconds. As a matter of fact, it just took $2.99 to get that first place check today, Gary Lee.
Tom Meents and Shake Me takes the victory here in Davenport, Iowa. Final combatants, including Dan Brown in Top Gun. That is the fiberglass Jeep body, and parked alongside Tom Meents in Let's Boogie. Now, Meents normally drives Shake Me, but he tore up that car in a grinding crash, and he had to borrow a car from Tony Ferroti.
And Ferroti says, I've got the car, you bring your engine and drivetrain over, let's stick it together and see what happens. That's exactly what we're going to see right now. I wonder what's going through his mind. Is it like an old pair of shoes that you just get comfortable with your car? If so, he might have his hands full. If not, no, that guy's not worried about it.
He knows how to drive these pits.
Woo!
And a good time, not quite quick enough though. 6th quick overall at 2.751.
But I guarantee you, he thought he was going 1,000 miles an hour when he got out of control with it. Speaking of 1,000 miles an hour, Gary, this guy, I love to watch race. You follow racing. When I say Tim Richmond, you know the attitude that he approached a race car with. Steve Kinzer, the same way. Well, in mud racing, this is the guy that'll come after you at the drop of a hat. He's going up against Gary Miller out of Winchester, Kansas. The man I'm talking about is Meeks. Shake Me.
Well, we have seen him win before here on Trucks and Tractor Power, and let's see what he can do. He has to better that 261 run laid down by Ron Pence and Tater. Good run, but is it fast enough? Remember, they'll have one more. Each driver with 2 passes. Gary Miller with his problems at 7 seconds and 2.88, a good run, but that's only second fast.
Well, I remember, like you say, he's got another shot. It'll be out of the other lane.
Once again, a good run, but not quite quick enough. He'll have one more run. Let's go ahead and talk to Tom Meents.
Well, Tom, a 288. Are you satisfied with that?
Yeah, the motor ran real good on the car, but it pulled to the right wall pretty bad, and I had to lift out of it one time, and I couldn't quite get in the second as soon as I wanted to, but the motor's running real good. pretty happy with it.
You're talking about going into second. Do you actually take your hands off the steering wheel to make the 1-2 shift?
Yeah, I do. Sometimes have a little trouble because these tires get to pulling the wheel out of my hand and the ride's pretty rough. But generally it works out pretty good.
Well, still to come is Paula Harbuck, the first lady of mud racing. Has been watching everybody else take shots at him.
Jim Harbuck is Paula Harbuck's husband. He's the crew chief on the vehicle. He drives himself. Meanwhile, Tom Meents, we thought would be a player, came out in his second run. Numbers were not there. It goes a 3:03.
Our final two competitors coming up. Hollywood Tom Meents out of Paxton, Illinois in Shake Me. Boy, I tell you what, he's won his share. He drives a 32 Ford Roadster, and he goes up against the Dragonfly, Tad Horvath.
But Tom Meents is the kind of guy that lives his life 3 seconds at a time. I tell you, the kind of character is, if he went bungee jumping, you would have to bring the cord. He wouldn't think it would be important. 3 seconds at a time, and you're going to see why right now.
Last run of the afternoon, and Meents will take it. Meents will have that run, has some trouble getting stopped. Let's check the time. Is it fast enough? Yes, it is. 2.88. Last run of the day, he takes the victory, and there is a time for the Dragonfly at 3.12. So Tom Meents, here it is again. Last pass of the afternoon, coming right at you, and he takes the victory. Has some trouble getting slowed down, but Tom Meents saw what he had to do, and he did it. He's standing by now with Army Armstrong.
Well, Tom, your father's not here to enjoy this with you. He took the weekend off. I know you're going to be making a good phone call home to him, though, about the win.
Yeah, he'll be real happy when I call him and tell him how good we did. Just a shame he can't be here to enjoy it with us.
Congratulations to you. An awfully good job.
Thanks a lot.
So Tom Meents takes the victory here in Sedalia, Missouri. Staging in the Mud Patrol. He holds some 12 track records and is the only 3-time winner of the Phoenix City World Championships. And he goes up against the Predator, Joe Bagdonis, in a 74 Willys Jeep.
It's really funny how the pairings are coming up. We opened the show talking about the Traveling Pro and the local guys. Well, the pairings seem to be coming down that way, and the Traveling Pro seem to have an upper hand on these local guys right now. But again, the track may get better.
Well, that time to beat is the mark laid down by Meents' chief rival, Tom Martin, who likes to claim he drives the original Mud Patrol.
Ooh, good run,
oh,
Gary
man.
Lee. Well, we got a good run in one lane. We got a guy hung up on a rut.
285.
Bingo.
285.
In the sport, you call that the number. Meanwhile, Joe's got a problem. The 285 came out of the lane in the past, has not given us the good numbers. Keep an eye on him. Tom comes out. Now, he runs so much wheel speed at the middle of the run, he actually lifted the back end of the vehicle up. That's the way his car is set up. That's where he's comfortable. Nobody else I know runs this type of a setup. You can tell by watching Meents at mid-track when he actually gets to plant the horsepower. You can actually see it with your eye. Watch it right about here. He really gets the power to the ground.
Well, with 2 Mud Patrols on the circuit, Meents says he's driving the real Mud Patrol.
285. You cut the number. Can anybody catch up with you?
I don't know. That track's pretty bad. If they do, they're going to have an awful good run.
Let me ask you this, something I just made an observation of. You just have a tremendous amount of top end. Is that through the tire size or through the gearing or what? Because you have a mile an hour that's just unbelievable out there compared to the other guys.
It has a lot to do with the gearing, and I don't know, I think I had the foot flat on the floor all the way through.
So Tom Meents in the Mud Patrol will be on top of the leaderboard. Back in Bloomsburg, Tom Meents talks with his dad. His dad's baseball cap reads, "Go faster." And that's just what Tom has done to the rest of the field today.
Well, Gary, we're in the winner's circle again. Hey, look who's standing with us. We've seen these guys before. The father and son team really seem to be on a roll. Tom, your dad's turning the wrenches. You're throttling up. You got you a good sponsor. Man, you got what every racer wants. You've got the hot combination now.
Yeah, it's worked out really well for us. You know, everybody's, we got people behind us, and that's what helps a lot. Paul Schaefer, Ron Olson, Barrington Performance, and my dad.
What about your dad turning the wrenches? Very, very important part of this, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, everything we do is just done right there at home, and that way we don't have to rely on anybody else for anything we do.
Well, Gary, as so many times before, we've seen the same guys in the winner's circle, and it's like any other kind of racing. When you got that hot hand, you almost seem unbearable. But what does the future hold? We're going to have to wait and see. Stay tuned for that. Back to you, Gary.
Station ready to resume as we take a look at Tom Meents in the real Mud Patrol, looking for a starting spot there in the far lane. And, of course, Tom has been a long-time competitor in this series, always a top competitor.
He and his dad out of Paxton, Illinois, believe in a whole lot of top-end speed. That's where he knocks his competitors out. Meanwhile, on the other side of this ledger, Dottie Sutherland will come out. The young lady out of Pennsylvania, she'll be driving a 27 Ford Roadster. So, boy, if there's any such thing as a worst-case scenario and pulling up next to the bad guy, Dottie's sitting right in that driver's seat. Who's that?
Well, there's Jerry Warren. There's the NMRO starter. Boy, he has to push the button and duck down behind that barricade before he gets muddy.
OJW's got the best seat in the house and Meets off like a rocket. Check it out.
Oh, man, he gets on top of the mud. What a run. He lays down. 2.84. That's the new standard bearer here in Bloomsburg. 2.84.
Awesome. Remember, 3 seconds is quick. She goes at 4:14. Not a bad run for the young lady.
Oh, but watch as he gets on top of the mud. Watch Tom Meents. Almost out of the lane there on his left side. Oh, what a run. Let's go down and talk to Tom Meents.
284, but you really had to make some horsepower in the middle to do it.
Yeah, I tell you, I think the worst problem I had is it kept wanting to get up on the wall there, and I was driving the steering wheel with one hand and shifting with the other hand, and it was pulling the wheel out of my hand a couple times.
What about the time? You think it'll hold for the day?
I think that it's not one of my better runs, but I think the track's pretty tricky for the other competitors.
Well, Gary, Tom Meents and his father have dominated the sport, but they've teamed up with Paul Schaefer. I tell you what, you guys look unbeatable out there. You're laying down the law for this sport.
Well, we had a real good run today, and I have to thank Paul Schaefer for that, and Ron Olson from Barrington Performance, and especially my dad.
It's amazing, Gary. You know, this guy, he lets his vehicle do a lot of talking for him, but believe me, he and his dad are about as tight as two guys you're going to see. Back to you, Gary. That wraps it up from down here for the day.
Previous winners, the Mud Patrol and S-Kicker. Jeremy Finley in the S-Kicker, Tom Meents in the Mud Patrol. Both have won here at Indy.
That was a good mud race there.
Look at that for Tom Meents at 2:9.36. However, Finley was quicker. Finley's time was a 2.930 in the S-Kicker. He was the Class 6 event winner here back in 1991. Let's take a look again. And once again, Meents gets out first, but the competition is against the clock, not against each other here.
Tom, the times are really surprising everybody. We thought they'd be a lot slower. You guys are turning some trick numbers out here in a real gooey track.
Yeah, some of the other cars really went quick. I didn't quite get the run I'm looking for, but it went pretty good down through there the way the track was. I was kind of surprised.
Do you think you might be able to stay in the top 5 with the numbers you've got here today? This is a tough field.
I don't know. There are a lot of cars back there yet to run, so it'll be interesting to see.
But the stellar field, and speaking of one of the stars, there is one right there. Tom Meents in the Mud Patrol, a 32 Ford Roadster with a big Keith Black Chevy. He comes from Paxton, Illinois, and always a top contender, no matter how long the pit or no matter where it is. And there is Mike Jones from Titusville. He drives the top dog, a 23 Alter T with a big nitrous injected Chevy.
The car in the far lane is giving away some horsepower that runs the nitrous with the single carburetor. Meanwhile, check this out.
Let's check the numbers now for Tom Meents. A 209 is what he needs, a 212. That is good enough for second position. So Tom Meents will move into second spot with that 212 clocking.
Seabold just dodged a major bullet as Mike Jones records a 2.27, but Seabold.
Well, Gary, we're right down the road from Kansas City. Now, anybody that follows sports knows they call Kansas City Cowtown. Cowtown Cowboys. I want you to meet one of the Cowboys of Class 6. This is the class you really like, isn't it? You really like to get out here and buck and bronc with these guys.
Yeah, it's my favorite class, definitely, because it's the fastest, and I really feel at home in the car and just like to go wide open out here.
You think you can hang on and win this thing today?
Well, I sure hope so.
How about some of these other guys sitting back in the pit area? You know everybody has got you in their crosshairs. If nothing else, they want to beat you.
Yeah, they do, but this is one of the tracks that is a little bit more of a driver track, I think, and as long as I can hold it all the way to the floor, I'll be all right.
And today in Class 6, it will be a case of 8 survivors left. Welcome back to the Missouri State Fairgrounds in Sedalia, Missouri, as Ford Trucks present the Penda Four-Wheel and Off-Road Jamboree Midwest Nationals, a part of the B.F. Goodrich Performance Racing Series. I'm Gary Lee alongside Army Armstrong. We take a look at the real Mud Patrol with Tom Meents.
You know, this is kind of interesting as Meents goes to the line. This is the guy that if you follow the sport at all, if you just picked up in your casual follower, you've heard of this guy because man, he will rock and roll you.
Well, we told you at the top of the show, he could be one of the quickest draws in the program. Here's a look at Tom in earlier Class 5 action. Well, you knew then that this car was one of the stout goers in this competition here this afternoon.
Tom runs a different gear as he pulls up against the Paris, Missouri native, David Chick. Tom's gearing, as he hits the lights, indication he's ready to go with his new sponsorship. Tom's gearing is for mile an hour. He just likes to go fast.
What he said he likes about this class, because this is the fastest.
Yeah, well, 3:02 is the official time he's going after. He's in a lane that'll hold it. What do you think, Gary?
Oh, it's a good ride. He lays down a dandy. Look at that, 262.
Bingo.
That's plenty fast as David turns it a 481, but Tom will have to be happy with that one.
Oh, yeah, Tom's got to be happy. We got to be up front with you about David, too. He's giving away about 1,000 horsepower there, so he knew that the Mud Patrol had him covered as far as the clocks are concerned, and boy, he sure did with the 2.62.
Well, we talked to him once. Let's talk to Tom again.
Well, Tom Meents, right now, it looks like you're the cowboy with that 262, but there's some big metal sitting back there coming after you.
Yeah, there's some mean hitters back there yet. I short shifted a little bit, only turned 7,500 in first. That kind of hurt me a little bit, but other than that, the pass was real smooth and straight.
Okay, now if you can go back and run again, are you in your mind comfortable with the fact that you can go faster than the 262 next time?
Yeah, I'm real confident of that.
Well, as we've already mentioned, tires are so crucial in this class, as well as see if Tom Meents can lay down a better run. The real Mud Patrol, Tom Meents, will pull up alongside David Chick in Running Wild.
Tom teamed up with Paul Schaefer of the Monster Patrol with the Mud Patrol vehicle, and this is a money deal. He's a money racer. He's here for one thing, not second, not third. He wants that first place check. Now, who's he going up against in the other lane? One of the Chick family, right, Gary?
Yeah, the homemade creation there, driven by David Chick. We saw his wife in this earlier, Nora. It's a good family sport where you can do it together.
Oh, look at this.
Oh, he's on top of the mud there. Good run. Excellent run. Let's wait for the time. That was a dandy. David was a 390.
Yeah.
We're still waiting for the Mud Patrol. 288. Well, not as quick as his first one, but he's still on top of the leaderboard with that 262. Take another look. Boy, he gets on top of the mud here.
It's like skipping a rock is the whole deal here.
He's on top of it. Does a good job in the shutdown area, and he's standing alongside Army.
Tom, a 288 on that run in the second round. So your first round of a 262, that's what you're going to have to live and die by. Is that going to be able to stand up?
I hope it is. I just dodged a big bullet there with Tater. You know, he run that 263. I hate to lose, but if I had to lose to anybody, losing to him ain't bad. But I don't know. It was a pretty good run, but it moved a little bit to the left and was moving around.
Okay, now how about Martin? I know there's no love lost between you guys. He's still back there. He's watched you. Now he's going to adjust his vehicle and come after you. What goes through your mind when you're thinking about that?
Well, it's out there. It's wide open. He can just try for it.
Well, all he can do now is simply watch because he's laid down.
Gary, we opened the show telling you about the cowboy here. Yippee-yi-yo-ki-yay. He did take the win today. Congratulations to you, but it wasn't easy by any means, was it?
No, we've had a rough day today, but there's just a lot of people behind me I got to thank. Paul Schaefer, Ron Olson, Barrington Performance, Bill Meents, my dad, and my fiancée, Debbie.
All right, congratulations. You did a great job.
Thanks a lot, Army.
If you're going to call him the cowboy, you better get him a Stetson there, Army. As we go back to the racetrack, far lane, that is Tom Meents in Mud Patrol 2, and look at the wing.
Gary, you know, the wing, as they call it in this sport, is designed to put downforce on a vehicle. Sprint cars are very successful with it, but in mud racing, I'm not sure it's exactly what you want. You want to lift the car, not push it into the track.
Well, that wing is a trademark of car owner Paul Schaefer. Now, Tom Meents in Mud Patrol 2 will be competing in 2 vehicles today. Good thing he's not running back-to-back. He's teamed up with his dad to campaign 2 cars on the mud circuit. This should work to Tom's advantage today with the sloppy conditions. Now, bear in mind, Tom Martin also competes in a machine called the Mud Patrols, and hell, we have 3 of those vehicles with the same name patrolling the pits. And there is a look at Brian Maeda. We'll be in the near lane, and this is Foolish Pleasure.
Love the names. Foolish Pleasure, Mud Patrol, one with the wing, one without a wing. This sport is growing by leaps and bounds. This is why right here.
He lays down a good run.
That wing didn't seem to hurt him one bit. He laid down a straight run, too.
Yeah, 3:154, 3:15 for Tom Meents. And there's Brian Maetta's 3-point.
A 3.15. It looked like it had a lot of porpoising to it out there.
Yeah, left lane's got like hills underneath where you can't see in the mud, you know, and when you're running down through the mud, there's like little hills there, and you keep, you know, going airborne every time.
Okay, now, will you knock that hill down to make the track better later in the field?
Yeah, it's possible it might get better, but one of the things that, you know, once mud starts getting thrown out of the ruts, there ain't nothing to hook on to, you know.
And there is a look at, once again, Tom Meents minus the wing in the second Mud Patrol. And he will take on another familiar face in Mike Yosha.
You talked earlier about there being 3 Mud Patrols here. Well, Mike Yosha's car is an old Mud Patrol. You're going to see a real fast run here. There's no love lost between these two guys. And Yosha would love nothing better to put Meeks on the trailer to bump him with the number. 3:05 is a quick time right now. I think Meeks will go quicker this time without the wing. That's just my guess. Let's wait and see. And Yosha, I guarantee, is going to push him out the other end.
Well, the time to beat's a 3:05.9. This could be the best matchup of the afternoon here in Bloomsburg.
Yeah, there's no love lost between these two guys. Both vehicles are almost identical. A lot of wheel speed combinations, both of them. You're going to rock and roll. Bob Seeger says, we'll rock and roll. Yeah, and they did, Gary. Look at this.
Excellent ride for both drivers, but look at Tom Meents. A 3.057. That will put him atop the leaderboard.
Yeah, but check Yoshi out. He turns a good number, 3.078. Tom, a 3.05. That puts you number 1. As a matter of fact, that keeps you in the top 5 with both vehicles.
That's great. The track's really soupy out there. I got about halfway down. I couldn't see anything, so I just flipped it up and went on. There's a while there I didn't know where I was going.
That's got to be some of the wildest 2 and 3 seconds of racing in the world, especially with the amount of speed and everything, and then the fact you can't see.
I think, you know, the times may not reflect how well you're going because you don't get off the line as good, but once you get going, you're definitely humming.
We had over 70 vehicles here in Penn.
Gary, we're standing with the guy that took it all today. Tom, having the 2 vehicles, is that an advantage or a disadvantage on a track like this?
Well, it's a little bit of an advantage, but as far as driving 2, that's kind of a disadvantage.
Okay, now what's the good side of it? Where do you learn something from the one vehicle you use on the other?
I don't know, I think it gets you a little more used to going through there, you know, being it's the first time you run it today, and then when you come back to the other one, you feel a little more comfortable.
Well, congratulations, great job. Congratulations to you and your dad. I know he's an intricate part of your team, and you guys are just dominating this sport this year. See if you can hang on to it.
Yeah, special thanks to Paul Schaefer and Barrington Performance for helping us out. Split fire spark plugs. Thank you.
Well, Tom tamed a tough track here in Bloomsburg. Our congratulations. For Army Armstrong, I'm Gary Lee. We'll see you next week on Trucks and Tractor Power. Now here's news of an exciting video release from Diamond P Sports. Coming up next, there is the Mud Patrol. Tom Meents won this event back in 1991, and he will be taking on Jack Frost. Jack Frost drives insane to the membrane.
That's cool.
I love these names.
Hey, if you had a name like Jack Frost, you'd have a car name insane to the membrane. But you'd be having fun, just like Jack is.
They are indeed.
But you'd also be drawing one of the baddest boys in the sport, too, you know.
Oh, look at that run that Meents set down. Let's check the time. 2.690. 2.690. That is only second fast right now. 3.006 ET for Jack Frost.
Now, keep in mind, a 3-second run is good in this sport.
Now, did you notice I refrained from saying Jack Frost was nipping at his nose?
Thank you.
Well, Tom Meents standing by at the end of the pit with Army.
Tom, it looked like you actually banged the side of the track right at the finish line. Did that affect you at all?
Yeah, it slowed me down a little bit. It picked the front wheels out, and, you know, I really couldn't turn it or nothing, but I got down near the end. I knew I was going to hit the wall, but I couldn't lift, you know.
This is Indianapolis. You don't lift here, do you?
No, that's for sure.
Well, speaking of good cars, here is the winningest mud racer on Trucks and Tractor Power, Tom Meents. And his opponent today will be David Scotts. And he can't be too happy drawing up next to Meents. Of course, despite the guy in the next lane, you're still racing your car.
Yeah, David's name of his vehicle is Tickle Pink. He's not. Meents is sitting in his left lane. And Meents, man, he's almost obsessed. He would love to get a hold of this California guy.
for no other reason for showing that Burlington, Illinois can make more horsepower than Fresno, California. We got bragging rights here, if nothing else.
Mud Patrol right there closest to the camera. Let's see what he can turn down.
I'm impressed.
Good hole shot. Will it be quick enough? Let's wait for the numbers. Tom Meents, no, and he won't be too happy with a 2.823, not even the top 5.
I can't believe that, boy. Normally, he is a player. Meanwhile, David comes out with a 3.35. Not a bad run for him.
Watch again. Watch this hole shot from the Mud Patrol in the near lane. Lights flashing. Good run, but just not quite fast enough to make the top 5. And let's go down and see what his reaction is.
Well, it looked like you were able to get a different kind of horsepower to the ground. The number's not going to be what you want, a 2.8. Not going to put you in the top 5, but you didn't bounce as much as the other guys. How come?
I don't know. There was 2 real ruts there, and I tried moving in there a couple times to make sure it was all right. It felt real good. I thought it took off real good, and it felt like a real good run.
Well, indeed, it was a good run. In fact, we have seen a number of these events.
An uncharacteristically slow pass for Tom Meents, who told us his problem may be too much motor.
The motor's running so much better this year, and we're gonna have to back the motor down a little bit because it just roasted the tires all the way.
Excuse the pun there, Army.
Well, over the far lane, it will be the man very, very familiar with Victory Lane, Tom Meents in the Mud Patrol out of Paxton, Illinois, and he pulls up alongside Mike Yosha in Hyperactive.
Both of these drivers trying to get a handle on the track. They're wrecking ordering, if you will. Nobody's been in front of them. They've got to try to figure it out. It looks like it's going to hold some speed and horsepower, and nobody really looked to be in trouble.
Yeah, good ride for Tom there. There you saw his time of 2.749 and the Hyperactive at 2.803. Let's look again.
Now, the first 2 out, look how smooth that track is, but the word in the pit area is this is the place to be, not at the end of this draw.
Well, Tom Meents lays down a good one, gives him something to shoot for. He's with Army.
274. Advantage or disadvantage to go first?
I'd say maybe an advantage today, but we stepped the motor up this year and we're still having a little bit of traction problems. It's going to take us a little time, but I think when it turns around, it's going to really work to our benefit.
A lot of people are concerned about the starting line. They said if it goes away, there's no hope for the guys in the back of the field. That's why I asked you about being first. What do you think the track will do?
Yeah, I think the track will get worse, but I think there's some good cars back there, yeah.
And one of those good